Hey everybody, this is Tell the Truth Sports Radio. I'm your host, Ron Fitz. I'm gonna tell you the truth about the NCAA and the NFL. Indiana and Ohio State. Indiana has lost 30 straight games to Ohio State. It's gonna be 31. Gonna be a close game. You got Sand versus Mendoza. And Sand has more diverse weapons. And you got Bo Jackson running better. Bo Jackson, what a name. Perfect running back name. Bo Jackson's running real well to go along with Carnell Tate and of course the great Jeremiah Smith, who should be he would be a Pro Bowler right now. That's how good he is. Just especially going against Indiana's zone defense, and their zone defense is built to kind of confuse you defensively, to give you different looks in their zone. But if Sand is not pressured and Sand has time and they're running the ball, Smith and Tate, they're going to find gaps in that zone. And that's going to be trouble. Indiana's going to play. They're going to get there, have their moments. But the key for Indiana, and this is going to be a little tough, is how to deal with Ohio State's defense. Indiana imposes their will on you. They punch you in the face with their running game. It's a power running game. And Mendoza could run. Mendoza's a great passer, of course. But Roman Hembley has got to be good. It's got to be a certain style. Like, one thing that helps Ohio State, they played Michigan. Michigan was a young team, but their style is like that, and Ohio State was able to overcome that. Last year, they didn't. They're more battle tested. I don't think Indiana can completely pose their will. And he has a play action, run the ball, play action off the run, pass the ball like that. When the running game is going to be stuffed, because they went to Oregon and completely dominated Oregon, which is not easy. They are more battle tested than Ohio State too, because of the Penn State game, Iowa. They had to overcome obstacles. Ohio State, Sand is throwing 79% of his completing 79% of his passes. He's only got sacked 6 times. What happens? And I don't think it happens this time. What happens if they pressure him and everything doesn't go completely right like it's been this year, and they've been beaten up on the little sisters of the poor, and they did beat a good Michigan team. What I think is that the combination of Smith and Tate, and the most important key to this entire game, this is why Ohio State's going to win, is Matt Patricia. Figuring out how the game play. He's a pro, play with the Patriots. Coach the Patriots with Belichick. And he's totally befuddled every single team, including Texas. I think they get Indiana. But this is the key. Indiana, if I'm Ohio State and they beat Indiana, I'm rooting that they don't play Indiana again. Because if you had to turn back around and play them in the semis, you're giving Martuzzi, the coach of Indiana, a second look and a second bite where now they can make certain adjustments. That could be tricky on Ohio State's path to repeat. Would he have to play Indiana again? And another tricky team that Ohio State's going to have to beat, and they blew the game a couple years ago against Georgia. Now, I'm about 75% sure Ohio State's going to beat Indiana. I'm 100% sure Georgia's beating Alabama. There is no way. Alabama beat them. Kalen DeVore beat Kirby Smart twice. Both times, Alabama jumped all over them. Not this time. They're not jumping on Georgia this time in the Georgia Dome with the SEC championship. I think they beat Alabama. I don't know how convincingly, but they're definitely beating Alabama. And this is the problem. Alabama cannot run the ball. And if you look at the stats. Stockton, 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Simpson, 25 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Pretty close. The big key is Nate Frazier. They run the ball better with Nate Frazier, Georgia. And Alabama can't run the ball at all. You're not beating Kirby Smart with that. And another guy that's just been unguardable, the transfer from USC, Zachariah Branch. I saw his grandfather, Cliff Branch, one of the greatest Hall of Famer, one of the greatest receivers ever lived. And he has a bloodline in him, and he's a great route runner. He's the key, and he just always gets open. I like Gunner Stockton to be better because he has more. It's more of a balanced offense. Georgia wins, and now the key game at noon: Texas Tech and BYU. Can Bachmeyer, who has number 47 and plays like a linebacker, can they actually run the ball against Texas Tech, the number one run stopping team in the country? And they stuffed BYU. BYU's only loss, it was pretty much non-competitive because BYU couldn't play their style. BYU's only chance is to play left-handed. And Parker Kingston, who only has 5 touchdowns, he's got to be. They have to go and change up. We're going to pass on first down. We're going to pass and pass and pass, even though it's not their style, and then gash them with the run once there's success and you're in rhythm. That's their only chance because Texas Tech is more balanced, and they got Caleb Douglas, who's really good. He has 7 TDs receiving. And they got Dickey, who could run the ball real well. He has over 1,000 yards rushing. Cameron Dickey is really good. Texas Tech is a team that could win the whole thing. And I never thought that. Texas Tech, they spent their NIL money wisely. They have a great linebacker. They're solid. They're like Ohio State. That would be a tough game for Ohio State because they're solid both sides of the football. Now, let me tell you talk about consequences. Consequences. BYU wins. Notre Dame's out. It depends on how Alabama plays. If Alabama gets blown out, they're out. If Alabama, now I don't even think they're going to win. Now, provided I'm completely wrong, which I doubt on this one, Alabama wins. They're totally in. They're definitely in. But if Alabama loses a close game, they're going to be in. The way they move, committee moved to number 9, and Notre Dame's out because Tulane is going to be in. They're the 12 seed. Miami, but you know what? I would think Miami's going to get in, but BYU loses. They could put Notre Dame and Miami, not Notre Dame and Alabama, and leave Miami out, which I don't want. I do not like the Hurricanes, but I do not want to hear all that whining from Miami. If Notre Dame's out, okay, you lost to Miami and you lost a game you had no business losing to Texas A&M. I know they're ranked, but you had 2 touchdown lead at home. You blew that. So I can't feel as sorry for Notre Dame. But what I believe the committee is going to do, BYU wins, Notre Dame's out. BYU loses, Alabama and Notre Dame's going to get in unless Alabama gets blown out. If Notre Dame, okay, listen. If BYU loses, Alabama gets blown out, then Miami and Notre Dame gets in. If Alabama plays a close game, Notre Dame and Alabama are going to get in, and then you're going to have a lot of griping and complaining. Miami had no business losing to Louisville. What are you doing losing to Louisville? But they did beat Notre Dame early, but it's still head-to-head, and I value that. And then you have Virginia, who should get in. I'm not putting Duke in if they win. So, committee got their hands full. What I would propose is a 14-team playoff, have a play-in, and then have it 12 or 16. Play-in like this week, then have the 12, and it's just better because I want to see Texas and Vanderbilt get in. I want to see Pavia. I'm not going to see Pavia no more in college football unless he's going to play in a bowl game. But, you know, I do want to see that. But they're going to put Notre Dame in, which I I would be happy because I want to see Notre Dame, Alabama, but I don't want to hear Miami. I don't hear that, see all that controversy where Miami, we beat Notre Dame head to head at home. If Notre Dame played Miami right now, Notre Dame would whoop Miami. I mean, yes, Notre Dame will whoop Miami. But Miami beat them early. That's your receipts. There's your receipts. Now, going to the NFL, I was so as sure as I was Georgia was going to beat Alabama. I was sure that Dallas was going to beat Detroit. But Detroit needed a game more. They came out and did what they had to do. They beat the Cowboys. Gibbs rushed for 3 TDs. They beat the Cowboys 44-30. And the Cowboys took a while to get started, and they were kicking field goals. And Detroit was scoring touchdowns. Montgomery, 35-yard rushing touchdown. They gashed Dallas's defense. And the key was that Detroit took a 2-possession lead, 20-9 going into the half. Dallas comes out there and throws a dumb interception. Not dumb interception, bad interception because Parsons did not really try. And they got an interception in Dallas territory. And Goff to Tesla, 12-yard touchdown, boom. The Cowboys was coming. The Cowboys offense from then on was hard to stop. And they got it to 3 points in the fourth quarter. But the gotta have it season on line drive was performed by the Lions, and Jahmyr Gibbs rushed for 10 yards. Cowboys come back, kick a field goal. They didn't stop. The way they're with 3:34 left and timeouts, the way their offense was humming. Detroit, if they don't score, Dallas is going to tie the game up, maybe take the lead with a 2-point conversion. Now, you're talking about a guy to have a drive, and they did. And Gibbs and the passing and rushing was just outstanding. He ends up scoring. And this is Montgomery had 60 yards rushing. Gibbs had 43 yards rushing. Jeremy Williams is really starting to come on. And, Ahmad St. Brown is great. But Gibbs, 77 yards receiving and that 26-yard reception to clinch the game was big. And Dak's been balling. Dak was 31-47, 370, 6 yards and a touchdown. The one interception at the end, and the other one was Pickens not really performing, not trying hard. When CeeDee Lamb got hurt, okay, Pickens, you got to take over. And it was a bomb. He didn't run for it fully. I don't know. I know what's wrong with him. He has issues. I'm a Steeler fan, so I understand. But Detroit needs it. But Dallas is still better off than Detroit. It's crazy that sounded because Detroit's behind the Niners, and they got to root for the Niners to start losing games because it's going to be hard. Losing to Green Bay, it's going to be hard to catch up in the division. The game is the Packers and the Bears at Green Bay. I like the Packers. Packers are going to take over the division with this win, but I do believe they have Chicago at Chicago again. Now Green Bay's got a rough schedule. Chicago at Denver, at Chicago, first Baltimore, at Minnesota. If they win this division, they'll earn it. And I give the Lions a chance because they could Chicago stub their toe, but they got Cleveland home. That's easy. You have Green Bay at San Francisco and then Detroit. How good is the Central Division? As far as the rest of the games, you have the underachieving Ravens against the incompetent, soft Pittsburgh Steelers. I would have guaranteed the Ravens win. I'm not sure. I think it's going to be a sloppy, lousy game that the Ravens probably end up pulling out because Steelers are incompetent and soft. But they're talking about firing Tomlin? No. I'd keep him unless you get me Gruden. You don't get me Gruden, you get me another championship kind of coach. Let's get. I don't want no inexperienced coach, and we the still turn to the Raiders. They're in first place tentatively. Now, the Bills, who I kind of trust, but they played an incompetent football team last year, so it's last week. It's hard to gauge how good they really are. They didn't pass the ball well. You're gonna have to pass the ball well against Joe Burrow at home, and the Bengals feel like they kind of own the Bills, and the Bills have to win this game because they're behind. They want to catch the Patriots, and they want to stay in it. You go 8-5, and you lose to a year behind Houston, who's on fire. You go 8-5, and you lost to Houston. Houston's got you head to head. You're out of the playoffs. So they have to have the same energy they had last week, or they're going to be home. They got to keep. Bosa's got to get to Burrow, and Bengals offensive line isn't great, but Burrow and Chase. It's going to be a whole lot tougher game than last week, and they got to be mentally prepared for that, or they're in trouble. And the other game, I like the Texans over Kansas City. I think Kansas City at home. I'm gonna take a chance and pick the Chiefs because they're home at Sunday night. It goes against logic because Houston's on fire. They're playing a lot better. Stroud is getting himself together. Marks is running that ball. Collins is solid. And Kansas City, they have the drop issues. The offensive line is just a mess. They have offensive line injuries. But Mahomes at home, but I got to have a game. I'm gonna take a chance and just pick Kansas City. And then the Eagles are a mess. Eagles could lose to the Chargers and be 8-5, and Dallas is still a game and a half behind. And with the Eagles have a little tougher schedule, got to play Washington twice with back-to-back, which is kind of tricky. And the Cowboys have Washington, but they have the Giants, they have Minnesota, and they have the Chargers at home. Minnesota and Chargers at home. And at Washington and at the Giants. You know what's funny? The division could be on the line with Dallas, and that at the Giants could be a pain in the neck. I know that's crazy, but that could be interesting if the Cowboys need that to win the division. The Cowboys still in it.